wanted to do a video about what psychotronic weaponry is and why it's most likely not what's being used against people that are suffering from gang stalking. Psychotronic weaponry is weaponry that was created mostly by the USSR but also by the United States with the intention of causing severe psychological distress, physical distress, and to literally pump thoughts into the person's head through using things that basically broadcast at the frequency of that person's skull. These weapons do exist, but they're most likely not being used by gang stalkers. And the reason why I believe they're not being used by gang stalkers is simply because access to these things is very rare, and this goes into this whole gang stalking theory that there's these vast government conspiracies against individuals that honestly don't really matter all that much. And that's the thing. Now, what does exist is spyware, okay? Which explains why the people that are saying the things to me on YouTube here actually know extremely personal details of conversations that were held between me and my friend that they wish to use against me to try and make me think that they know her, when in reality they don't. And that's the whole thing. The thing is with the spyware is they can use the phone, and I'm going to be buying a new phone very soon. The thing is they can use your phone to grab up data, and they can use it to spy on you. One of the problems I've been having with my phone for about 3 months now is I have an inability to turn it off. It won't turn off. Now, from the Federal Trade Commission is where I found these things out. These are actual websites. So they control my phone. They can see what I do, they can hear what I do, they have access to the files on my phone, things like that. Now, I've had spyware on my phones before, and they've just completely demolished not necessarily spyware, but malware on my phones before, and they've completely wrecked phones of mine. Okay, and what's funny is, it's interesting because going back a couple weeks, a gentleman referring to himself as Afro-Latino, and who has actually commented in the comments sections of my videos, was very nosy about everything I was doing every minute of the day, but they said that they had autism, and they go, what are you doing right now? Now me, I don't lead a very exciting life. I sleep, eat, exercise, and use the restroom. I mean, that's about what my life is. So I didn't think anything of it, and I'm like, I'm eating dinner, blah, blah, blah. And then when I started re-looking into the gang stalking, the concept of trying to know everything. They want to know everything that you're doing, what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and that's where it started realizing. So the use of psychotronic weapons, even if people did have access to them, is unnecessary for what the goal is, which is to make you question your sanity. As I spoke, it can be very low tech. For example, like I said, in my apartment, things would just be moved or missing, because I used to leave my apartment for long periods of time during the day, and I'd hang out with my ex-girlfriend and things like that. But when I'd get back to my apartment, I'd be missing things, or things would be moved and things of that nature. Now, that's not very high-tech. And then when I talked to the apartment complex, they changed the lock, and that ended. So the point is these people are trying to make you go crazy. Now, the problem is, if you look, and this is when I started about a year, like I said, a year previous, I'd say at least a year, maybe more, people started friending me on Facebook privately. Everything on their things was private, and they were telling me I was a victim of gang stalking. I didn't believe it, because when you start looking at gang stalking and you start seeing things about reptilian overlords and psychotronic weapons and blah, 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 you start to go, these people are crazy. Of course, that's the ideal reaction. They want people like me that look into it to think this is nuts. Now, what about what about the psychotronic weapons? Well, yes, they do work. You have Frank Tufano losing his mind over microwave radio towers and weaponized street lights and everything else on his channel, and I'm going to try very hard not to get there. But yes, psychotronic weapons do exist. They were developed, and they most likely did work. However, they're not, as far as I know, they're not used by private individuals. Could these be purchased on the private market? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not that technically savvy. However, I think what people need to be looking at if they're trying to find the answer as to who's doing what is who do they know that would have the desire to do this to them. For example, with me, I have a so-called friend that works at the organization that I blew the whistle on, and whistleblowers are our targeted group, like I said. He thinks he's James Bond with his little gadgets and his computer savviness, but he's not. He's not that computer savvy. The thing is, though, with the malware and the spyware, you can purchase that, and it does your dirty work for you. And that's the thing, is it took a while. Like, what's funny is I talked to him the other day, and what was he concerned about? He didn't try and call me crazy or anything like that. No, what he was concerned about is, how did I know it was that organization? Why did I think it was that organization? What made me believe it was that organization? Everything was geared to, what about this organization? How do you know this? Because I think he was a little bit astonished that I finally put the pieces together. And the thing is, the fact that they drew in my friend, and actually did, this is the thing, they try to control what you do, and they did. They got me so angry, thinking that she's friends with these people that are so nasty to me, that it got me to say things that were really not right. The thing is, what gets me mad is, I'm assuming, if they have spyware and all that, they know that this friend has certain social issues and things of that nature, which make her vulnerable. And to pull somebody like that into this, see, and that's the thing, is I regret not believing her when she told me that she did not know this person, and that's the thing. I should have believed her when she said she didn't know these people, but they knew so many intimate details and individual things about conversations I have had with her, and how did they know that? They had access to my phone through spyware or malware. Now, I will be getting a new phone, like I said, but the funny thing is, it's like, spy on me, what do I care? The thing is, that's the thing, is they want people to be paralyzed. They want them to think that there's this vast network of gang stalkers that are following them. It's probably like 2 or 3 people. Like, honestly, out of that whole organization, it's probably like 2 or 3 people spying on me and trying to drive me insane. It's not the whole organization. It's probably people at the very top, or the individual that got me fired is involved. And that's the whole thing. Is the whole concept of this is very interesting. The thing is, it's set up in such a way that they pick on vulnerable people. I'm not as vulnerable as most people, because I've actually studied brainwashing and mind control and things of that nature. When I went to school for criminal justice, that was what really interested me, was the study of cults and things of that nature. So I grasp what mind control is. I grasp how it operates. I grasp what goes on. And there is overt mind control, which is things that are done that, like, for example, in the USSR, things like that, where you can tell if you're an outside person that there's something going on. And there's covert mind control. The difference between gang stalking and, like, a cult is, gang stalking, the goal is to drive you insane. With a cult or a political organization or things of that nature, it's to get you to reflect their views. But that's the thing. I'm going to leave links in the description about spyware to the federal government, so you can tell they're not kooky. And the thing is, that's what I think's going on. I think a lot of these people, unfortunately, are too prone to believe that there's these vast conspiracies, and that's why people are tuning them out. But that's not what's going on. what's going on here is this is just like any other type of cyberbullying or anything like that. It's groups of individuals that get together to destroy one individual. And what is the goal of gang stalking? To have the person commit suicide. And what's interesting is that's what I explained to my friend many months ago, my so-called friend, who I think is the one that's doing the spying. I said, they're trying to drive me to suicide. And you know what? I think he knew that. And what's funny is basically the in-person harassment that my ex-girlfriend's a witness to, because the person that did it did not know she was with me at the place that it took place. And that's the thing, is this, once you add it all up, it makes sense. The problem is, these things are not, I didn't consider them interconnected, because who the hell would? And I'm a logical person, so like I said in my first video on this, when somebody spied on me in the park and was taking pictures of me in the park, I presumed it was a private investigator. Because why would it be anything but a private investigator? After all, I was having problems with my previous employer, and I figured they hired a private investigator to bust my balls. Because that's the kind of dirty, sleazy thing that place would do. And that's all for this video.